Alright, welcome back to Newcastle Central. I wanted to try and put out a quick video here right at the end of the year. Thanks to my ADHD, I do kind of go through things in spurts like this and kind of have some wind in my sails now that I'm working on this platform building. So I wanted to kind of show a little bit of progress that I've been making, some plans for the next steps on this one, and I wanted to see some running shots as well myself, just so I could see what this now looks like with trains moving around, to see if this is kind of what I'm going for. So let's go and have a little bit of a look around the station and see what kind of work I've been doing over the last week or so. Okay, so this is, I guess, the exterior wall. I've got one of the DMUs parked up there, the 101, I think, and they still would have the canopy that will be coming out. So we'll probably start around there, and it will come out just to the edge of the platform. So I still got to put that canopy in place, but overall quite happy with how this is looking. I did put up some of the station name signs for Newcastle. I then had British Rail one, which may not have been prototypical for the time, but I like the little BR logo in there as well. Otherwise, most of the other ones I put are just these plain Newcastle ones, which just seem to be a little bit more prototypical. Do have some kind of posters around. Some of those are advertising different routes, some of those advertising rail tours, some of them have kind of like the actual passenger information, what some of the timetables would have been. The seats and the rubbish bins are kind of just loosely put in place, and not actually attached. They're just kind of resting up against a wall, just so I get an idea of what that would look like. I'm going to move a little bit so you can see the rest. And so again, looking at, we'll be putting in another one of the bench seats and rubbish bin there, another one down on this far end as well. So the doors are probably a little bit smaller than they should have been, but that was kind of intentional because I'm kind of going for the look that this is an exterior wall. I didn't want them super duper wide. I'll have a look at one of the inside walkways and so you can kind of see the difference. So these are maybe a little bit narrower. I guess height wise they're probably okay. I don't have a figure around that I can grab, but I'll try and grab one for the next little clip. It's probably a little bit narrower than maybe they would have been. You could have two people maybe side by side going through there. But again, because this was an exterior wall, I didn't want to have super wide doors. I don't really, and entryways. I don't really think that's prototypical, and I don't know if I would like the look of it. And it's not really going to get me much in terms of being able to see inside, because unless I'm really low down, it's not going to help. I'm not going to be able to actually see through there. Anyway, it's not going to let in too much light. So I think this is a pretty good balance. We're trying to move out a little bit. So this is then what that exterior wall looks like. Again, like some people that commented on the last video, and like I pointed out, the roof I think needs to be darker. I don't think that there's really enough contrast between the roof and the wall. The lighting out here in the video makes it a little bit worse than it is. It's not actually that light, but there we go. But all of this does have a clear coat of the varnish on it as well, so it should all be protected. So quite happy with that. Let's go and have a look on the inside and see what that looks like. Alright, so hopefully it's not too dark in there. It's a little bit weird because I kind of have flashlight on the camera just to kind of brighten it up a little bit. But inside, same kind of thing, same kind of interior wall detailing. If I can get some light above the top of it, that doesn't help too much, but same kind of interior detailing inside there that I had on the outside. A little bit more maybe of the poster boards. and information boards, because this would be on the inside, so a little bit less concerned about elements, the weather and stuff like that would be getting to these if it was real. Still got the rubbish bins spread out, the benches spread out a little bit there as well. I will be putting lights in here too. Still need to figure out exactly how I'm going to be doing that, because there'll be a lot of lights. As you can see, it is, on the video at least, it is kind of dark. It's not that dark in person. And one thing that I'm trying to figure out, I've got a couple of different materials that are on the way now, is figuring out the kind of rod cross pieces that would have been going right the way through the station here as well. That's probably where I'll be hanging the lights from, once I figure out exactly what kind of lights I want to be putting in place here. Roofing is in place too. I mean, you can just about see that. The material that I actually printed out and used was clapboard. I'm not sure if that's actually what it would have been in the prototype, but visually it at least looks pretty close to what I was going for, and I think makes a pretty good balance and a little bit of difference in contrast to the brick wall. I'm going to move just a little bit, if we can, and look at the interior wall then. So there you can see one of the entryways. See if I can get the camera balanced again. There you can see one of the entryways that will be going through over to platform 3, I guess. That is probably much more prototypical in terms of the width and of the height. Because it's an interior wall, that's kind of what I was going for. There will be then another one when we switch over the other side of the building. I can show where another one's going to go. I don't have that one in place yet, because that would actually kind of pop out under the walkway where the bridge is that goes across where platforms 2 and 3 would join, and then come across over this extension building. So until I know exactly where that bridge is going to be, I don't know exactly where that walkway ramp is going to be, so I don't know where that interior doorway entryway is going to be between the platforms as well. So I'm quite happy with how this has turned out. At least this side of the building, I think, is done in terms of all of those kind of poster boards. And we do have the same on the other side, if I can kind of pivot around too. It's a little bit hard to see from the angle, but we do have them running all the way down this exterior wall as well. So let's go look at the other side. Alright, so this is then coming down, looking at the other side of the building there, and so again you can see the exterior wall side here has the detailing all the way down for things like the station name signs, those poster boards, timetable information, stuff like that. This more interior wall does not. So down right at the very, very far end, all the way down here is where we had that doorway, or the entryway, I guess, between the platforms. There will be another one probably somewhere right around here, I think, is where the bridge is going to come in. It's not right in the middle. It is kind of further down towards this end of the building. But again, until I figure that out, I'm not going to try and cut that in. It is still pretty easy. This is thin basswood, so it is really easy to cut through with a craft knife. I'm not too concerned about messing things up. So once I figured out the bridge, I can put that extra wall in place, and then same kind of thing. I can then put in some of those kind of posters and timetables and advertisement boards and things like that. So there's none of the bench seats or the rubbish bins down on this side because, again, I don't really know exactly where they would be. So I'm just kind of leaving them as they are. But otherwise, quite happy with how this has turned out. I like how the roofing beams turned out, how this turned out once it was then painted black. Again, that kind of look of that clapboard material inside, even if that's not what it would have been. But visually, I think it's pretty good. I like the little bit of the weathered look that you have going on there. And so I think that once the platforms were kind of a little bit more filled out, you know, we had a bunch of people and some more detailing pieces I've been doing for the Royal Mail carts, the red carts, that hand carts that would have had to move stuff around. I've also been working on some of the blue British Rail utility trolleys and things like that. So hoping to get those on pretty soon as well, and then I think it'll start to look pretty cool. Alright, it's kind of backing out to get a little bit of a wider view as to what this looks like. And again, with a few of those trends popped up around there, I think that it's looking pretty good. Again, happy with how this has turned out. This is probably the biggest thing I've tried scratch building, and kind of learning a lot of these things as I go along. I am not the most delicate of people with my big sausage fingers, and I often feel like I'm butchering things and using too much glue. So I have gone through quite a lot of the rocket glue. I was very glad to have the little applicator to be able to make a little bit of thinner beads of glue that I was putting through. So overall, the roof isn't perfect. I think I see a lot more of the flaws than maybe will come across on the video when you're kind of seeing it all for the first time. But overall, this is coming together pretty good. I like how it looks. Again, the curves, very gentle curves. The kind of sign, signals are in the way a little bit, but there is very gentle curves to the walls that you can see with the way that the trends are and the couches are kind of curving around. So I do like how it's looking overall. So kind of the next steps, like I said, I've got a couple of different materials coming that will be to try and figure out doing the rodding that goes kind of across the roof. Put a picture up now, again, just to remind people of what that looks like. And that's probably where I'm going to be hanging the lights from. So I was trying to figure out what kind of lighting I'm going to be doing on the inside there. Probably is hanging lighting from those rods. I think that will look pretty good. And then I do want to figure out some guttering as well. Some of the downspouts that will be coming down, I think that will help hide some of the seams between the roofing, between the walling as well. So at least on this outside, on this wall, I will do it. I don't think I will on the far wall. We actually kind of spin around the far wall is kind of a cheat. It's not actually all done because, like I've said before, this is then where the north side of the wall will be, and so this is there would be a wall that would come down. This is somewhat prototypical as well, and so I'm not sure if I'm going to have it flat up against this wall or if it would be an inch or so off and kind of angles in, because there is it could be about an inch or so. There are somewhat offices that will be inside that little area. Someone had commented that there is kind of a second level to this. And so if we kind of come down low, there is enough room that it will be more so on the far side. There is still room that I could put windows in to kind of simulate a second level. They would just be flat windows. I wouldn't be cutting them in. They would just be printed and glued on to give the effect of a window. But I think that's kind of what I'm going to be going for there. And then figuring out the actual glazing canopy part itself, right up on the top where that open spot is. Along the top here, I'm looking at probably laser cutting, I think. And I'm not sure if I want to go to all the effort, but laser cutting kind of the triangle pieces that will go along there. And I got a couple of different glazing options as well that are coming in. One is a very thin perspex. The other is kind of the overhead transparencies that you would use. So it would be somewhat thick and flexible to give the illusion of glazing. It's just, I don't want to just drop some clear stuff on top that needs to then be metal work around it and things like that. So I think that's going to be just as complicated and just as time consuming to do as the rest of the roof. And I don't want it to be overpowering because it's not a super big part, but I think that will just kind of clean it up. So I'm gonna do a few more running shots, try to split in some running shots throughout all this as well, but just wanted to share a little bit more of where I'm going. And I am still thinking about the rest of the station as well. So some of the people in the comments, and I've probably been using words that may not mean a lot to people that aren't from Newcastle. So the main part of the platform buildings themselves, where these three arches are called the Dobson train shed. Oh, it is a name for the Dobson train shed after the man who originally designed them. And then this exterior part I'm calling the extension piece was added on later. So that's the difference between when I'm calling this the extension building and when I'm calling the Dobson train shed. The Dobson train shed is that main part of where the three arches are. So still trying to figure out that, because there are no interior walls on that Dobson train shed. And so that is going to be one big piece, and I'm still printing up a bunch of other 3D pillars that will then go all the way through there. And so hopefully once I get the rest of this extension building done, then I can move on to that and I don't kind of lose focus and switch over to another project, but it may well happen. So hopefully everyone's been enjoying the Christmas and New Year period. Like I say, I'm hoping to keep going at least to try and get this extension building done somewhat to completion. And I'll be back soon to share a little bit more about how that's all been going. So thanks for watching. Do subscribe and follow along. Do keep the comments coming as well. Let me know what you think. And yeah, hopefully we'll be back soon. Bye bye.